Back in the 1970s, men's fashion took some wild turns. Bell-bottoms, bold polyester shirts, oversized collars, and clashing colors filled the streets. Once symbols of rebellion and freedom, these styles now feel like a fashion experiment that went a little too far. Tina Turner's journey from the late 1950s to the 1980s is captured through powerful photographs showing her evolution from raw, explosive performances with Ike to her iconic solo presence. Each image reflects her unstoppable energy and the passion that crowned her the queen of rock and roll. In the Soviet Union of the 1980s, youth quietly rebelled against a rigid system. Punks, goths, and metalheads flaunted spiked hair, leather jackets, and Western-inspired fashion. These photos capture the courage and defiance of a generation that dared to be different behind the Iron Curtain. A glimpse into a Prague office in 1937 reveals the largest vertical filing system of its time, towering rows of documents stretching skyward. It's a powerful reminder of how bureaucracy once operated on a massive manual scale before the era of computers and digital archives. Inventor Alexander Graham Bell didn't stop with the telephone, he also experimented with flight. These remarkable images show his innovative tetrahedral kites, built from triangular cells soaring into the sky. They were early, ambitious attempts to conquer the dream of human flight. Standing over 7.5 feet tall, Ralph Tex Madsen earned fame as the tallest cowboy in America. These photos show his towering presence in classic Western attire, embodying both myth and reality as a living symbol of frontier legend and larger-than-life Americana. Hand-colored postcards from 1890s Switzerland reveal alpine life in vivid detail. Snow-capped peaks, peaceful villages, and pastoral scenes. These early color images transported viewers to a world of scenic beauty long before color photography became common. Rare portraits from the Victorian era show men embracing tenderly a powerful, silent challenge to a society that forbade open affection between them. Each image speaks volumes about hidden love, deep friendship, and emotional connection in a time of strict social norms. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, people literally moved entire houses not with trucks, but with horses, rollers, and sheer manpower. These photos capture incredible feats of engineering and perseverance, as homes rolled slowly across fields and streets to new destinations. These striking portraits of Maori women showcase the traditional facial tattoos known as Tomoko sacred marks of lineage and identity. Captured just before colonial bans suppressed the practice, the images preserve the artistry and strength of a culture determined to survive. Beautiful lantern slides from Norway in the early 1900s depict towering fjords, mountain villages, and rushing waterfalls. Painstakingly hand-colored, they brought the dramatic beauty of Scandinavia to audiences worldwide, fueling curiosity and wanderlust during the golden age of travel lectures. The Great Depression forced millions into desperate circumstances, and Hooverville's sprawling shantytowns became home to the unemployed and homeless. These haunting photos reveal a landscape of poverty and resilience, where people built makeshift shelters and clung to hope amid economic ruin. As cities grew and cars filled the streets, vertical parking garages emerged as futuristic solutions. These early 20th century structures, part innovation, part experiment, transformed urban infrastructure and changed how we thought about space in the automobile age. Crinolin's enormous hoop skirts worn by women in the mid-1800s were fashionable but deadly. Fires, accidents, and collapses were tragically common. These photos reveal the dramatic elegance of the era's style and the hidden dangers women faced in the name of fashion. Early 20th century Parisian street photography captures a pivotal moment in fashion history when formal Edwardian styles gave way to modern, liberated silhouettes. The elegant coats, cloche hats, and tailored suits reflect a society on the brink of transformation. Vintage ads from decades past reveal blatant sexism depicting women as servants, housewives, and objects. Shocking today, they are a reminder of how far advertising and society has come in challenging and rejecting harmful stereotypes. Colorized photographs from early 20th century Petra and southern Jordan capture the timeless beauty of the rose-red city carved into rock. These rare glimpses document both the ancient majesty of the site and the lives of people who lived among its ruins. The real-life models behind Grant Wood's iconic American Gothic painting pose proudly before the original house. Their stern expressions mirror the timeless image that became a symbol of rural America, a perfect blend of art, reality, and identity. Jean-Marc Cote's postcards from the late 1800s imagined the year 2000 with flying firemen, underwater schools, and air taxis. These playful visions show how people once dreamed of the future, sometimes wildly off base, yet filled with optimism and imagination. The traditional Rwandan hairstyle known as amasunzu, sculpted into intricate upward crests, symbolize social status, beauty, and identity. These rare photographs from the 1920s and 1930s celebrate the artistry and cultural depth behind one of Africa's most distinctive hairstyles. Back in the USSR, the government went hard on booze, and those creative anti-alcohol posters were their secret weapon. From dramatic scenes of families torn apart to bold slogans warning of vodka's dark side, they weren't just art. They were pure propaganda, mixing fear, hope, and strict Soviet discipline. These tough little hustlers, known as newsies, weren't just kids. They were the backbone of America's news game. From sunrise to sundown, they shouted headlines on crowded streets, fighting poverty one paper at a time. Their worn faces and fearless eyes tell stories of grit and sacrifice that built a nation. Believe it or not, elephants were more than circus stars. They were wartime MVPs. During both world wars, these gentle giants hauled heavy artillery, cleared wreckage, and moved vital supplies when machines broke down. Their strength and calm nature made them the ultimate battlefield buddies. Meet the Spacelander, the wild retro-futuristic bike straight out of a sci-fi comic. With bold curves and space-age style, it promised the future on two wheels. Too pricey to go mainstream, it became a collector's dream, a symbol of 1950s innovation and imagination. In 1509, Martin Waldseemüller dropped a total game-changer, the first map to ever call the New World America. A tribute to explorer Amerigo Vespucci, this single piece of parchment literally renamed a continent and reshaped how humanity saw the globe. Caroline Munro wasn't just another pretty face, she was the ultimate 60s. 70s bombshell. From Hammer horror movies to Bond girl fame, her stunning looks and magnetic charm owned every frame. These rare shots capture an era when beauty and boldness ruled the screen. The Will and William West case in 1903 was a real-life plot twist. Two unrelated men looked exactly the same, confusing the prison system. That shocking mix-up proved mugshots weren't enough, sparking the rise of fingerprinting as the ultimate way to identify criminals. These epic 1880 to 1900 photos show explorers hacking through jungles to uncover the lost world of the Maya. Crumbling temples, mysterious carvings, and ancient cities revealed a civilization far ahead of its time. Each shot feels like stepping into a long-lost secret that rewrote history. The Netherlands in the 1890s looked like something out of a fairy tale, and these color postcards prove it. Windmills spinning, canals glistening, locals in traditional gear, every scene captures a simpler, magical Dutch life before modern times swept in. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just Hollywood royalty, she defined classic glam. These 1950s and 1960s photos show her transformation from teenage starlet to timeless icon. With violet eyes, bold fashion, and unmatched charisma, Liz redefined what it meant to be a screen goddess. Isaac and Rosa's 1863 photo hit America like a punch to the heart. Two freed slave children representing hope after centuries of oppression. Their innocent faces became powerful abolitionist symbols, showing that freedom wasn't just a law, it was a deeply human right. Back in 1930, Ecta Wagner ads dreamed big, picturing a future of flying cars, robot helpers, and sky-high cities. These imaginative cards weren't just selling products, they sold hope, capturing the sci-fi optimism of a generation obsessed with what's next. These 1890s photochrome postcards bring old Ireland to life in stunning color. Rugged coasts, ancient castles, and cozy villages burst with charm and nostalgia. More than just souvenirs, they're time machines, windows into a dreamy, timeless Ireland. This jaw-dropping 1903 image shows two towering Kashmiri giants beside photographer James Rickelton, and they make him look tiny. Their incredible height fascinated scientists and travelers, capturing a moment where myth and reality literally stood side by side. These gritty portraits from 1970 to 1990 show the OG British skinhead subculture raw, rebellious, and unapologetically bold. Born from working-class pride and ska music, it was more than a look, it was a way of life that shook the foundations of UK youth culture. Jayne Mansfield wasn't just a bombshell, she was a cultural explosion. These dazzling 1950s and 60s photos capture her playful charm and bold charisma. Fearless and unforgettable, Jayne rewrote the rules of fame and became an eternal symbol of vintage beauty. People really tried to tame zebras between 1890 and 1940, and the results were wild. From pulling carriages to riding like horses, humans wanted to domesticate the untamable. But spoiler alert, zebras weren't interested in playing by our rules. Raquel Welch was the ultimate 60s dream girl. Bold, breathtaking, and pure Hollywood magic. These vibrant shots capture the confidence and timeless beauty that made her an icon. With screen-stealing presence, Raquel wasn't just a star, she defined glamour. Before fingerprints took over, the Bertillon system measured every inch of a criminal's body. Head size, arm length, you name it, to ID suspects. It might sound wild now, but in 1894 it was cutting-edge science, paving the way for modern forensic techniques. Man, this shoots straight up wild. In 1955, the eccentric art genius Salvador Dali turned his seaside villa into a dreamscape. Every frame screams otherworldly. With that twisted mustache and bizarre props, Dali wasn't posing. He was straight living his imagination. Yo, these shots are pure vintage vibes. Coney Island was poppin'. Packed beaches, wild rides, and killer summer energy. You can almost hear the carnival tunes and smell that popcorn. Straight up old school Americana frozen in color. Rita Hayworth defined classic Hollywood glam. She lit up the silver screen with that smile and fiery red hair. Every photo screams confidence and charm. She wasn't just a star, she was the fantasy of the 1940s. Pure vintage magic, no cap. Ben Shahn captured small-town America like a pro. London, Ohio, 1938. People chillin', laughing, and just vibing through life. No filters, no fake poses, just real folks in real moments. Straight up heartland energy. Claudia Cardinale was stunning. With that mix of elegance and fire, she ruled the screen. Every shot's got that movie magic glow. She didn't need filters, she was the filter. Timeless charm, forever iconic. Pam Grier, total queen energy. She redefined badass beauty, serving fierce looks and breaking Hollywood barriers. From Coffee to Foxy Brown, she owned every scene with that fearless aura. Straight up legend. These old school machines are wild. Dr. Gustav Zander basically invented fitness before gyms were even a thing. Those steampunk contraptions looked like torture devices, but they were the blueprint for your modern workout grind. Picasso's studio was a whole vibe. Paint everywhere, chaos everywhere, and yet pure genius in motion. These intimate shots catch him in his zone, breathing art like oxygen. Dude wasn't just an artist, he was art. This lil ride's a whole mood. The KR200 looked like a mini jet cockpit. Quirky, tiny, and totally iconic. Not the fastest, but man, it had style. Retro drip on 3 wheels, baby. Yeah. This one's low-key eerie, but crazy cool. These masks captured final faces of history's legends, from kings to poets. It's creepy, yeah, but also kinda beautiful. Like touching immortality through plaster. Straight up haunting vibes. That moment was cinematic. At a White House gala, Princess Diana hit the floor with John freaking Travolta like a real-life movie scene. Royal Grace met Hollywood swagger and the world just froze. Total fairy tale vibes. Bruce Lee was pure lightning in human form. Every pic shows discipline, focus, and power. He wasn't just flexing. He was building a legacy that still hits hard today. Absolute icon status. These shots are gold. Brando chillin', Pacino looking intense, Coppola running the show. It's movie magic before the world even knew. You can feel the weight of history being made right there on set. Pure 90s vibes right here. Selena lit up her Coca-Cola shoot with that killer smile and unstoppable confidence. She wasn't just repping a brand. She was repping pride, culture, and timeless Latina beauty. Straight up icon energy. Sophia Loren was the blueprint. Pure class, pure power. Every shot drips with confidence and elegance. She didn't just follow fame, she made fame chase her. Golden Age goddess, hands down. Andre was a unit. Over 7 feet tall, larger than life, and still humble as hell. These pics show both his beast mode and gentle side. The man wasn't just a wrestler, he was a living myth. Talk about timeless beauty. Those color photos of Scotland hit different. Misty hills, ancient castles, and pure, peaceful vibes. It's like stepping into a fairy tale before the world got loud. Old school magic. No filters needed. Vicky Dugan was bold before bold was a thing. Her backless gowns made Hollywood lose its mind. They called her the Back, and she wore that title proud. Confidence, attitude, and pure vintage rebellion. Clint Eastwood was the definition of cool. That stare, that swagger. He didn't play tough, he was tough. Whether in spaghetti westerns or real life, he was pure grit and charm. Hollywood legend mode, always on. Then we step into Ellis Island, 1906 to 1911, where hope met reality. Immigrants from all over the globe arrived, eyes full of dreams and fear. These colorized portraits breathe life into history. Every wrinkle, every smile tells a story of courage and fresh beginnings. It's history with heart, not just black and white memory. Fast forward to the 60s, 80s, a young Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak. The man was pure dedication, sculpting his destiny one rep at a time. Those poses? Legendary. That mindset? Unstoppable. He wasn't just lifting weights, he was lifting the idea of what's humanly possible. Now meet Brigitte Bardot, the French goddess who redefined beauty in the 50s and 60s. Wild, carefree, effortlessly stunning, Bardot's vibe was rebellious and magnetic. These photos capture her golden era, messy hair, soft smile, and eyes that said, "I live by my own rules." Then the skies. The original wing walkers from the 1920s to the 80s were absolute maniacs in the best way. Standing on airplane wings mid-flight, wind tearing through their hair, no fear, no safety net, just guts. Old-school thrill-seekers who turned danger into performance art. Jump to 1978, a not-yet-famous Madonna in Michael McDonald's photo shoots. You can see it in her eyes, that bold, watch-me-rise energy. Before the fame, before the hits, she was already the storm. Confidence, chaos, and charisma all brewing in one young woman ready to take over the world. Now rewind further. America's national parks, 1870 to 1920. Early explorers, dusty boots, hand-me-down tents, just raw adventure. No selfies, no filters, just pure awe for the wilderness. These people were the OG adventurers who set the stage for every hiker and camper today. Nature at its finest. Meanwhile, across the pond, Victorian London, 1873 to 1877. Street kids hustling, carriages clattering, fog hanging low. These photos show a city split in two. Grit and glamour side by side. It's raw, haunting, and so real you can almost smell the coal smoke. History doesn't get more alive than this. And then, the chills hit two Armenian women, 1895, rifles in hand, ready to face the Ottomans. Their eyes screamed strength and defiance. They weren't just fighters, they were symbols of resilience. Real warriors who stood tall when the world looked away. Courage like that? Timeless. Finally, 1988, Sami the chimp escapes his zoo, face to face with the director trying to talk him back home. It's wild, funny, and weirdly emotional. You can see the bondman and chimp, freedom and captivity, both just trying to understand each other. A real moment of soul in the chaos of life. Imagine a photograph of a firefighter battling a blaze in a brutal winter storm from 1880 to 1980, helmet iced over, hose frozen solid, but a heart burning hotter than the flames. He wasn't just a fireman. He was a warrior fighting nature itself. Frostbitten, soaked, exhausted, but he never quit. That's grit you can't fake. Now picture a photo of Central Park in 1942. A lazy Sunday in the middle of wartime America. A kid chasing pigeons, a couple laughing, a soldier stealing a quiet moment before heading back to chaos. For one afternoon, the world slowed down peace in the middle of a storm. You can almost hear the laughter, smell the grass, and feel the warmth of that late summer sun. Then comes the brutal beauty of a photograph from Greenland, 1888-1907. Life carved out of ice. A person wrapped in furs. Sled dogs pushing through endless white, a face weathered but proud. No comfort, no shortcuts, just survival. This isn't just an image, it's proof that human toughness has no temperature limit. The skies were a whole different stage during the 60s to 80s, when a photo of a stewardess ruled the air. Classy uniform, bold smile, and that effortless charm, the golden age of flying. But behind the glam, long hours, strict rules, and non-stop grind. Still, she handled it all like a pro, confident, stylish, and smooth. Flying back then wasn't just travel, it was an experience. Now brace yourself for a photograph from 1912, a Titanic survivor arriving home. The moment hits hard. Pale face, hollow eyes, a person who saw death up close and somehow lived to tell the tale. No Hollywood, no retakes, just real pain, real relief, and raw humanity. It's survival etched in a single expression, and it'll stay with you long after you look away. Then roll back to 1850-1880, where a photograph of a worker proudly posing with the tool of his trade tells the story of a nation being built. A carpenter, a miner, a blacksmith, every image screams pride and purpose. No filters, no flexing, just the look of someone who built the world we live in. Real job, real hustle, real person. Straight up blue-collar pride. Across the ocean, between 1918 and 1920, an American Red Cross photographer captures the haunting face of someone from the Balkans after war. A child, a mother, a soldier, eyes filled with both sorrow and strength. You can see the cost of conflict, but also the unbreakable will to survive. This photograph reminds us, even when everything's gone, humanity still stands tall. Then comes the weird and wonderful The Rhino, a 1954 all-terrain beast that looked like a tank and a tractor had a baby. Massive wheels, wild design, pure mad scientist energy. It could roll through snow, mud, whatever you threw at it. The kind of invention that screams, "Let's build it and see what happens." Classic mid-century innovation gone wild. Next stop, Old Ireland, 1885-1925. A photograph filled with a face lined by stories and a heart full of resilience. A fisherman, a farmer, a mother living a simple, hard life with pride. You can almost hear the sea wind, the laughter, the songs. This isn't just a photograph. It's a window into a soul that refuses to fade. And finally, a quiet moment from 1900, a photo of a department store worker on lunch break, sitting on a curb, sharing a sandwich, laughing through exhaustion. No phone, no distractions, just a real person catching a breath between endless shifts. In the 1930s to early 1950s, beauty wasn't judged by the face, it was judged by the ankle. Across America and Europe, women stood in lines while judges examined their ankles for grace and femininity. It sounds absurd now, but for that moment in time, elegance began at the ground, and a single turn of the ankle could crown a queen. In 1933, A fearless team of British aviators took flight over Mount Everest, the first humans to ever conquer its skies. With oxygen running low and freezing winds biting at their wings, they captured breathtaking photographs from above the world's highest peak. It wasn't just a flight, it was humanity rising beyond its limits. The turn of the century, a quiet man named James Gillingham was crafting miracles by hand. In 1900, he built lifelike prosthetic limbs using wood and leather, restoring hope and dignity to those who had lost theirs. Long before modern technology, his creations didn't just replace what was gone, they rebuilt lives. The year was 1890. In the Austrian Alps, vibrant photochromes of Tyrol captured mountains and valleys in colors no one had seen before. Long before digital cameras, these images brought landscapes to life with astonishing clarity, a glimpse of serenity frozen in early color magic. Venice Beach, 1970s. The sun, the rhythm, the freedom. Roller skaters glided across the boardwalk, spinning and laughing under California skies. It wasn't just skating, it was rebellion on wheels, a culture of self-expression born from music, sunshine, and style. In 1941, John Vachon wandered the streets of Chicago with his camera. He captured workers, dreamers, and survivors, people bound by grit and determination. His candid photographs painted a city not of steel and smoke, but of heart and humanity. Between 1950 and 1970, a macabre spectacle toured across Europe, dead whales on display. Massive carcasses were preserved and hauled from city to city, drawing fascinated crowds despite the unbearable stench. These haunting images remind us just how far human curiosity can go and how strange our definition of entertainment once was. 1914 Germany. 3 young farmers, dressed in their finest suits, walk proudly toward a village dance. Photographer August Sander captures their confidence, unaware that war is about to shatter their world. That single frame holds the innocence of youth, moments before it vanished forever. In 1902, French artist Albert Bergeret imagined the women of the future. His postcards showed women as pilots, scientists, and leaders, decades before those roles existed. He didn't just create art, he envisioned equality long before society dared to believe in it. Between 1938 and 1943, photographers documented rural Puerto Rico in its rawest form. Dusty roads, wooden homes, and faces hardened by work yet illuminated by pride. Amid poverty and hardship, these images reveal strength that never broke and a spirit that refused to fade. 1981. A tourist photo, or so it seemed. Pablo Escobar, the world's most feared drug lord, stood smiling with his family outside the White House. A man hunted by nations, posing steps away from the seat of American power. Arrogance, audacity, or simply a photo that defied logic? Either way, it became one of history's boldest images. 1918. The world gasped for breath. The Spanish flu pandemic swept across continents, and masks became as common as fear itself. On streets, in schools, and on trains, faces were covered, voices muffled. These old photographs remind us that history repeats itself, often with chilling familiarity. 1955. Tragedy by the sea. A couple stands on a California beach, waves crashing behind them. Moments earlier, their child had vanished into the ocean. The photograph captured no faces, no tears, only grief in posture and silence. It remains one of the most haunting images ever taken. From 1945 to 1959, Genevieve Naylor turned her lens toward post-war fashion. Her photographs shimmered with life-bright dresses, bold colors, and women rediscovering joy after years of loss. Each frame wasn't just about fashion. It was about rebirth. Between 1858 and 1872, Lewis Carroll photographed a young girl named Alice Liddell, the real Alice in Wonderland. Behind every image lies the spark that inspired one of literature's greatest tales. Her innocent gaze became the doorway to a world of imagination that would never fade. 1957, Hollywood. Sophia Loren hosts a dinner party. Jane Mansfield arrives, in a dress that left nothing to the imagination. When she sat down beside Sophia, the world's most famous side-eye was born. One glance, one moment, and a photograph that defined Hollywood scandal forever. The 1960s, the age of the madmen. Sharp suits, slick hair, cigarettes, and swagger. Advertising wasn't just a job, it was identity, power, and art. These photographs captured an era when confidence was currency, and style was everything. 1913, a time when America was still figuring things out. Parcel post had just begun, and parents found a shocking loophole. They could mail their children. With stamps pinned to their clothes, infants were handed to mail carriers safely delivered to relatives miles away. Between 1900 and 1935, the first deep-sea divers looked like men from another planet. Heavy brass helmets, thick air hoses, and lead boots, every descent was a risk between life and death. But they did it anyway, uncovering a world no human had ever seen. 1929, the R-100 airship. They called it the Flying Hotel. Cabins, lounges, and silver service dinners all floating above the clouds. It was elegance in motion, the dream of luxury travel before airplanes ruled the skies. Though the airship era ended, its photographs still whisper of a future that almost was.
In the 1950s, thrill seekers found themselves in what could only be described as a human spinning blender, the rotor ride, a massive barrel-shaped chamber that spun so fast, riders were pinned to the wall as the floor dropped away. It wasn't magic, just physics' centrifugal force holding them in place. Dangerous? Absolutely. But back then, safety standards were a distant afterthought. It was all about the rush, the kind of reckless fun only the mid-century could invent. From spinning walls to spinning snow in the early 1900s, a daring sport called skioring emerged in Norway. Skiers, armed with nothing but ropes and courage, were pulled across frozen landscapes by galloping horses. What began as a way to travel quickly over snow soon evolved into a breathtaking competition of balance, skill, and speed, a dance between man, beast, and the biting cold. As technology advanced, people found new ways to experience life and music. In the 1950s, record stores introduced vinyl listening booths, cozy soundproof corners where you could test a new album before buying it. Picture it, the crackle of the record, the warmth of analog sound, the moment you found a song that spoke to your soul. It was music discovery at its purest, intimate, personal, and deeply human. But not all photographs from the past carry joy. Some reveal uncomfortable truths. Between 1890 and 1914, colonial-era postcards like this one painted a romanticized image of empire, a European officer lounging with a local woman, presented as a symbol of exotic adventure. Yet behind the posed smiles lay a harsh reality of exploitation and power imbalance. These images weren't just souvenirs, they were tools of propaganda, shaping the narrative of superiority that fueled colonial rule. Far from those scenes of empire, another story was unfolding at sea. This haunting photograph shows Robert Falcon Scott's ship, the Terra Nova, during his doomed 1910-1913 expedition to the South Pole. Scott and his crew battled unimaginable cold and exhaustion, only to discover the Norwegians had beaten them there. On their return journey, they perished just 11 miles from safety. The Terra Nova, standing proud against Antarctic ice, remains a symbol of human courage and the thin line between glory and tragedy. Back on warmer shores, the world of fitness was flexing its muscles literally. In 1949, the original Muscle Beach in Santa Monica became the birthplace of modern bodybuilding. Under the California sun, athletes lifted, flipped, and posed, surrounded by crowds who cheered their strength and artistry. It wasn't about fame, it was about passion, discipline, and the thrill of pushing human potential to its limits. Yet some dared to push limits of a different kind, like those who went over Niagara Falls in barrels. From 1901 to 1985, adventurers climbed into makeshift capsules, hoping to survive the deadly plunge for fame and fortune. Some, like Annie Edson Taylor, a 63-year-old schoolteacher, made it. Many did not. Their barrels, wooden and steel, became symbols of both courage and madness, humanity's eternal urge to challenge nature itself. Meanwhile, another kind of madness was sweeping through society propaganda against women's suffrage. Between 1900 and 1913, posters like the infamous Crying Baby campaign warned that giving women the vote would destroy families and morality. These manipulative images shamed women for wanting equality, painting them as neglectful mothers. Today, they stand as chilling reminders of how fear was weaponized against progress and how women persevered anyway. By 1939, technology met romance in one of the strangest ways imaginable: the osculometer, or kiss meter. Couples were invited to test the power of their kiss using a so-called scientific device that measured passion through electrical impulses. It was part stunt, part science fiction, a quirky glimpse into a world eager to quantify love itself. Around the same time, explorers and photographers were capturing another kind of human story: the Bedouin nomads of Arabia in the 1890s. Dressed in layered robes and armed with curved daggers, they roamed the desert with camels and courage, living by a strict code of honor. Their lives were harsh, yet free-lived under the endless sky, guided by stars and tradition. In contrast, the 1930s and 1940s saw the rise of fear-fueled propaganda in America's own backyard. Posters for films like Reefer Madness screamed warnings about marijuana, calling it the weed with roots in hell. These sensational films depicted chaos, addiction, and moral decay, painting cannabis as the ultimate evil. They weren't about science, they were about control. A time when fear shaped policy more than truth. And while fear ruled cinema, absurdity ruled dating culture. In 1938, women's magazines offered strict dating tips: never talk too much, don't yawn, don't drink too much, and above all, never outshine your date. Images like this of a woman fainting mid-dinner mocked those who broke the rules. It's funny now, but it shows how tightly society once tried to control women's behavior in the name of proper romance. By the 1980s, all that restraint was long gone. Spring break had become a massive cultural explosion. Beaches filled with thousands of college students celebrating youth, music, and freedom. MTV cameras rolled, beers clinked, and crowds roared. No social media, no filters, just real chaotic joy. It was the golden age of youthful rebellion, sunburns, and sand-covered memories. Rewind half a century, though, and the idea of beauty looked very different. Between 1910 and 1930, women sat beneath giant metal contraptions, early hairdryers that looked more like space helmets than beauty tools. They were heavy, noisy, and sometimes dangerous, but they symbolized progress. The promise that technology could make beauty effortless, even if it meant strapping your head into a robot. Around the same time, science was taking even greater risks, like this tiny bottle of Bayer heroin from the early 1900s. Once sold legally as a cough medicine, heroin was marketed as a safe, non-addictive alternative to morphine. Cocaine was used the same way, even in soft drinks and tonics. It took decades for the world to realize the damage caused by these miracle drugs and to begin regulating what was once freely sold in pharmacies. And finally, we arrive at the crossroads of civilization's Constantinople, 1890. In vivid color, we see a city alive with merchants, markets, and domes, the beating heart of the Ottoman world. Traders from Europe and Asia filled its streets, voices mingling with the call to prayer. It was a place where cultures collided and coexisted, a true bridge between East and West. This image, frozen in time, captures a world both ancient and modern, one foot in tradition, the other in progress. If these glimpses into the past amazed you, don't forget to like, share, and comment your favorite moment, because history isn't just about what happened, it's about how far we've come.